In today's fast-paced life, there are moments when we feel so tired that we don't understand why. A long day of work, family worries, and relationships that constantly demand attention all drain our energy. We try to keep up with tasks and goals, but the more we do, the more exhausted we feel. The tiredness is not due to too much work, but because the mind cannot let go. Every worry and thought keeps circling in our heads, making it impossible to escape this cycle. One afternoon, after coming home, you sit down in your favorite chair, your eyes fixed on the empty space. You try to breathe deeply, but the tension still doesn't leave. You remember the peaceful moments from before, when everything seemed lighter and more relaxed. But now, the tiredness feels like a heavy stone, pressing down on your shoulders. The Buddha taught, it is not the many tasks that make us tired, but the mind that does not know how to let go. This saying truly makes us reflect. Tiredness is not just because of work, but because we don't know how to let go of unnecessary thoughts and worries. The mind keeps being busy with unresolved issues, and this prevents us from finding peace. The Buddha teaches that peace only comes when we learn how to release the burdens in our hearts. When the mind is freed from worries, the body also feels lighter. It is not about doing less, but about adjusting our minds so that worries don't occupy our soul. When we learn to let go, we will find true peace. Perhaps no one has never gone through tired days. Those days when everything around you feels heavy, your steps slow down, and it feels like all your energy is drained. The tiredness is so overwhelming that you can't find a specific reason for it. It's just an uncomfortable feeling that cannot be explained. But if you think a little deeper, you'll realize that the tiredness doesn't come from work or what we're doing, but from the fact that our mind hasn't learned how to let go of unresolved thoughts and emotions. One morning, when you wake up, you still carry with you the unfinished feeling of the past days. Every worry, every sorrow lingers in your mind, even though you know everything has already passed. You carry a heavy load of unresolved thoughts and unexpressed emotions, and no matter how hard you try, the tiredness doesn't leave you. You work hard, you race against time, but in the end, you still haven't achieved the peace you've been longing for. The Buddha teaches, it is not the many tasks that make us tired, but the mind that does not know how to let go. This saying is a gentle but profound reminder about the nature of tiredness. In fact, we can do a lot of things, but if the mind doesn't know how to let go of burdens and worries, tiredness will still exist. Our mind is like a vast field where all worries, sorrows, regrets, and expectations are stored. When we don't know how to release them, they keep swirling in our heads, hindering our ability to enjoy every moment of life. A mind that is not liberated will also make the body feel tired. You will realize that the worries never end and negative emotions keep clinging to you. No matter how hard you work, the tiredness is not caused by the work itself, but by the fact that you cannot free yourself from invisible burdens. Try sitting down for a day, in silence, and let all thoughts and emotions settle. Then you will feel the difference. Peace does not come from doing less, but from knowing how to let go of unnecessary worries, from allowing your mind and body to relax completely. In Buddhism, we are taught that everything in life is impermanent. Everything will change over time, including the emotions and thoughts we carry. If we don't know how to let go, we will carry invisible burdens that make life heavy and tiring. Only when we learn how to let go can we find peace and bliss in our hearts. Letting go is not about neglecting or abandoning responsibility. Letting go is a choice not to let negative thoughts and unnecessary emotions control our lives. Letting go is how we learn to forgive ourselves and others, so we no longer live in the past or worry about the future. When we let go, we are no longer trapped in endless thoughts, but instead, we can live fully in every present moment. So how can we let go? The answer is not simple or quick, but it is entirely possible. The important thing is that every day we can practice freeing our minds from unnecessary burdens. We can start with small moments, deep breaths, and moments of stillness amidst the busyness of life. Sometimes, just a few minutes of sitting in silence, listening to our hearts, is enough to feel a lightness in our souls. And from there, you will realize that peace is not something distant, but always present within us, as long as we know how to open our hearts to embrace it. When the mind knows how to let go, the body will naturally feel lighter. Tiredness is no longer a burden, but an opportunity to rest, to recover. We will find peace in those moments of stillness, and tranquility will become a part of our daily lives. Each day, remember that tiredness does not come from work or what we are doing, but because our mind has not learned to let go. Learn to let go, to find the peace that you truly deserve. When we face stress in life, sometimes the cause is not due to too much work, but because our minds are not at peace. There are days when, although everything around us seems normal, our hearts still feel restless. A worried thought, a sense of unease, or an unclear fear makes us tired, even without a clear reason. And you know, when the mind is not at peace, everything, no matter how small, can become a heavy burden, making us feel caught in the whirlpool of stress. Sometimes we don't realize that our souls are becoming heavy. We may be focused on work, taking care of the family, or worrying about things that haven't happened, but we forget one important thing, that is taking care of our mind. When the mind is not at peace, we cannot live fully in every moment. Small things, simple problems, become enormous challenges. You will easily feel stressed when facing an unread email, an unanswered call, or an unresolved relationship. The Buddha taught, the mind is the master, all phenomena follow it. This means that all our sensations, emotions, and even tiredness stem from the mind. A peaceful mind makes everything light. An unsettled mind, even with a small problem, can make us feel exhausted. When we cannot find peace in our hearts, everything, no matter how simple, can make us anxious, stressed, and sometimes feel like giving up. An unsettled mind is when we are always living in worry, always seeking something to control, to adjust, to make everything perfect. But life is never perfect. Changes, surprises, and challenges always happen, and we cannot control everything. When we cannot accept this, the mind becomes confused, unable to calm down, and that's when every little thing can become a big worry. Imagine one day you wake up and feel restless, as if something is wrong. You try to pour all your energy into work, but soon after, you feel tired and stressed. Even though you're doing normal things, your mind cannot let go of negative thoughts. Everything seems off, and the more you try, the more exhausted you feel. This is when the mind is not at peace. The Buddha taught that peace is not a state that can be found outside, but a state within. When the mind is at peace, we can face challenges without fear or stress. A peaceful mind does not mean there are no difficulties or worries, but it is the way we perceive and handle them. When our minds are at peace, we know that everything comes and goes, and we do not need to hold on to them. We learn to accept and let go, allowing everything to pass naturally without worrying or trying to control. There is a simple way to help the mind be at peace: learning to let go. Every day, take time for stillness, take deep breaths, and relax. Not to avoid difficulties, but to let the mind rest, so that worries no longer dominate every thought. When you allow your mind to relax, you will notice that no matter how complicated things are, they will not make you feel as stressed as before. Remember that peace of mind is a choice. We can choose to make our minds lighter, let go of negative thoughts, and focus on the present. When the mind is at peace, the body will also feel relaxed, and you will be able to enjoy life more fully. No matter how busy life may be, when you know how to nurture peace of mind, everything will become easier. An unsettled mind makes us tired, but when we find peace in our souls, everything will become lighter. Let your mind relax and let all worries flow away so you can live in true peace and happiness. In a life full of busyness and worries, sometimes we feel tired and confused, as if life is pulling us along with no end. Worries about work, family, the future, or relationships prevent us from finding peace in our hearts. But then, in moments of stillness, a fleeting thought makes us stop. Is true peace only found when our minds are at peace? The Buddha taught that a person with a peaceful mind will always find peace, no matter the circumstances. This simple saying contains a profound truth. A pure mind is when we can face every challenge and hardship without fear or confusion. The peace in the mind does not come from the outside, not from the environment or living conditions, but from how we perceive and respond to life. A peaceful mind helps us not get caught up in negative emotions, not be shaken by sudden changes, but instead, we can maintain a steady calmness. On a rainy day, with water flooding everywhere, everyone around is worried and stressed, unsure when the rain will stop. But in a corner of the city, there is someone still sitting silently, not in a hurry, not worried. That person looks out the window, witnessing the stillness of the surroundings, seeing the rain as a part of nature, seeing that rain comes and goes, and then that person feels peace within. That is the image of a person with a peaceful mind. Even when the outside circumstances are chaotic, if we have inner stillness, we will not be disturbed by external factors. The Buddha taught that the peace in the mind is a state that needs to be nurtured and practiced every day. It does not come from waiting for everything to be perfect, but from how we face the difficulties and challenges in life. When our mind is full of worries, anger, fear, and unrealistic desires, we will never find true peace. But when we learn to let go, accept the present as it is, without desire, without worry, we will feel the stillness and peace in our hearts. A peaceful mind does not mean there are no difficult times, no challenges. This life is always full of changes, from difficulties at work, conflicts in relationships, to losses and separations. However, when our mind is at peace, we will not let these things disrupt our inner peace. We will be able to view everything clearly, understand it fully, and not let negative emotions dominate. A person with a peaceful mind will not be overly concerned about the past, not fearful about the future, but always live fully in the present moment. They understand that life is always changing. Everything will pass and nothing is forever. The only thing we can control is how we react to everything that happens. When we face life with a peaceful mind, every difficulty becomes a lesson. Every challenge becomes an opportunity for us to grow. A peaceful mind helps us face change without fear, helps us forgive and let go of burdens in our hearts to live a lighter life. The Buddha taught that in order to achieve a peaceful mind, we need to practice mindfulness, which means living in the present moment and focusing on every action, word, and thought. Every day, we can take time to meditate, focus on our breath, and listen to our feelings and thoughts without judgment. That is the way to clear our mind, to let our mind become still and clear. A person with a peaceful mind will always be grateful for what they have, will not compare themselves with others, and will live fully with what is happening. When our mind is peaceful, we are no longer swept away by worries, sadness, but instead, we feel the peace in every breath, in every moment of life. So to find peace in life, we need to start from our own hearts. A peaceful mind is not a place we can arrive at, but a state we can live in every day. It is about learning to let go of unnecessary worries, accepting the impermanence of life, and finding peace in the simplest things. When the mind is peaceful, no matter the circumstances, you will find peace, unaffected by difficulties or challenges. And when your soul is at peace, the world around you will become more peaceful as well. Sometimes we feel like our soul is covered by a thick layer of dust. Thoughts, unmet expectations, unfulfilled desires simmer in our hearts, making it impossible to find tranquility. Each day passes, and we struggle with mixed emotions, constant doubts, and don't know how to let go of everything. But why is it so hard to let go? Could it be that these thoughts and unmet expectations have become an inseparable part of our mind? The Buddha taught, everything is impermanent. But why is it so hard for us to accept change, loss, and things not going as we wish? A part of us still holds on to negative thoughts, unfulfilled expectations, like a mirror covered in dust. We think that if we don't think about them, they will disappear. But in reality, the more we try to deny them, the more they become invisible burdens, weighing down our minds and bodies. When our minds cannot let go of the things that don't go as expected, it is like a mirror covered in dust. Although the mirror is still there, it cannot reflect the surroundings clearly. Similarly, when our minds are not at peace, chaotic thoughts and unmet expectations obscure the stillness and clarity of the soul. We cannot view life properly, cannot see new opportunities, and cannot enjoy the beautiful moments life offers. We keep repeating in the cycle of thoughts about the past and unfinished matters. Unmet expectations and unattained goals make us feel dissatisfied, and the mind remains restless. However, when we try to cling to the things that are not accomplished, we only make ourselves more tired. The Buddha taught, expectations are the root of suffering. When we allow unrealistic expectations to dominate, we will never feel satisfied, because life is always changing and does not always follow what we want. Letting go is not about giving up or being cowardly. Letting go is liberation, a choice not to let thoughts and expectations control our lives. When we let go, it doesn't mean we ignore the important things in life, but it means choosing to view everything more lightly, not allowing things beyond our control to make us anxious or stressed. This is the way for our souls to be freed and become tranquil. One way to let go is to practice mindfulness, living in each moment. When we truly focus on the present, not getting caught up in worries about the past or future, we will find that heavy thoughts and unmet expectations no longer dominate our minds. Each breath, each step, each moment of life becomes precious and worthy of appreciation. We learn to accept that everything changes, and only by letting go can we find peace. The Buddha taught that letting go is not giving up, but understanding that everything has its impermanence. When we no longer cling to unmet expectations, we can live more fully. Try thinking about the things you once expected, the goals you haven't achieved, and view them as part of life's journey. Sometimes, what matters is not achieving the goal, but the process we go through to learn and grow. Let your mind be freed, like a mirror being wiped clean of dust. When the mirror shines, it will reflect everything clearly. Similarly, when our souls are at peace, we will see life more clearly, see the beauty in every moment, and feel tranquility no matter the circumstances. Unmet thoughts and expectations may make our minds heavier, but if we learn to let go, our souls will become lighter, clearer, and freer. Remember, each day is an opportunity to cleanse the mind, to view life with a fresh and brighter perspective. Letting go is not easy, but it is the path that leads us to true peace. When the soul is at peace, we will always find tranquility, no matter the circumstances. Life is always full of challenges, and sometimes we feel like we're being sucked into the whirlpool of worries, negative emotions, and desires that never come true. We always feel we have to try harder, work nonstop, and search for things that we think will bring happiness. But then, one day, we feel so tired that we no longer want to continue. We don't know what to do, don't know where to go. We just want to find a little peace in our souls. The Buddha taught, letting go is not giving up, but allowing yourself to rest, not being influenced by negative emotions. This is a profound lesson on how we can find peace in our hearts, even when life is tormenting us. Letting go does not mean giving up or abandoning important things in life. It is the choice to not let negative emotions dominate, to allow ourselves to rest and find stillness in our hearts. Negative emotions, such as anger, worry, fear, and despair, sometimes take over our minds. When we keep clinging to them, we make ourselves even more tired. They are like heavy stones in our hearts, making it impossible for us to move freely. But in reality, it is not because these emotions are too strong, but because we have allowed them to influence our thoughts and actions. The Buddha taught that only when we know how to let go and not cling to these emotions can our souls return to a state of peace. Letting go is an act of liberation, not giving up. When we let go, we are not abandoning responsibility, nor neglecting the important things in life, but simply not allowing negative emotions to cloud our ability to view life clearly. The Buddha taught that letting go helps us free ourselves from unnecessary influences, so we can live more fully and freely. There is a very interesting Buddhist story about a meditation master who taught his disciples about letting go. He said that when we carry worries and negative emotions, it is like carrying a mirror covered in dust. When our mind is not liberated or purified, this mirror cannot reflect the light, and we cannot see things clearly. But when we let go, it is like wiping the dust off the mirror, and our minds will return to clarity and transparency. At that point, we can view everything with insight and calmness. One way to let go is to learn to accept, accepting that life doesn't always go as we wish, accepting that difficulties and challenges are part of life, accepting that we cannot control everything. When we accept, we no longer resist, but instead, we open our hearts to embrace everything with calmness. This helps our souls become lighter, not influenced by negative emotions. Letting go also means allowing ourselves to rest. Life is so busy, and we are always racing against time, work, and responsibilities. But sometimes, it is when we stop, breathe deeply, and allow ourselves to rest that we find peace. Letting go is not avoiding, but taking time to renew ourselves, to recharge our soul. It is how we take care of ourselves so we can face life more strongly and wisely. The Buddha taught that when we let go, we will find freedom. Freedom is not escaping responsibility or avoiding difficulties, but freedom from the negative emotions that imprison us. When the soul is liberated, we will live fully in each moment, no longer worrying about the past or fearing the future. We will see everything around us become lighter, calmer, and more beautiful. Life is not always easy, but when we know how to let go, we will feel lighter and more peaceful. Letting go is the way to live true to ourselves, not being influenced by external factors. Let the negative emotions pass like clouds, not clinging to them, so that our souls can be free, rest, and find peace. Remember that letting go is not giving up, but allowing yourself to rest, to let your soul be free, so you can live fully and peacefully in each moment of life. Awakening is a concept we hear a lot, but have we truly understood and practiced it in our lives? Awakening is not a mystical state that one can only reach after many years of practice, but it is a way of life, very close in every moment of everyday life. It starts from very small things, from returning to ourselves and letting go of the pressures and expectations that life has inadvertently placed on us. On a busy day, amidst work, worries, and relationships, have you ever stopped and asked yourself, how am I living? We often get caught up in the cycle of life, forgetting ourselves, forgetting that only in the present can we truly live. Every moment, every breath offers us an opportunity to return, to renew ourselves. The Buddha taught that awakening is not a goal to be achieved, but a way of living. Awakening is being mindful of every moment, being fully present in what is happening around us. When we can live mindfully, we no longer get caught up in thoughts about the past or fear the future, but focus on the present, on the simplest and most ordinary things. Think about a morning when you wake up. Instead of rushing to check your phone, worrying about the work ahead, take a few minutes to sit down, breathe deeply, and feel each breath. Feel the space around you. Feel your body gradually awakening. This is a moment of awakening, a moment you return to yourself, to what is real, to what exists. Awakening starts from such small moments. Every time you stop to breathe, to listen to yourself, To not get caught up in worries or expectations, you are practicing mindfulness. In those moments, you no longer have to search for peace elsewhere, because right within you, there is an infinite source of peace. Modern life, with its pressures from work, society, and expectations we create ourselves, sometimes makes us forget that happiness is not in goals, not in the successes out there, but in our own hearts. When we race against time, when we keep setting new goals without stopping to feel the peace in each moment, we will never find true tranquility. The Buddha taught that awakening is a path that allows us to see the true values of life, to see that every present moment is precious and worth cherishing. One of the most important aspects of practicing mindfulness is learning to let go. Letting go of expectations, worries, and unnecessary pressures that we create for ourselves. When we no longer cling to things beyond our control, we will find ourselves freer and lighter. Letting go is not giving up, but liberation, allowing ourselves to live freely without being bound by unwanted things. For example, if you are working and feeling tired, instead of forcing yourself to finish the task quickly, you can stop for a few minutes, take a deep breath, and feel your body. You can close your eyes and feel the tension slowly dissolve. This is a moment of mindfulness, when you return to yourself, no longer controlled by expectations or worries about the outcome. Mindfulness is when we realize that life is not a race, but a journey. This journey is not always smooth, but each step, whether difficult or easy, has its own value. Only when we live mindfully can we truly experience the beauty of each moment, each breath, each smile, or a glance shared in life. Mindfulness is not something far off. It lies in every small action, in every moment when we live fully in the present. When we begin to be mindful, we will see that life does not need to be perfect, but we just need to embrace everything with an open heart and a peaceful soul. Remember that mindfulness begins with returning to yourself. Do not let worries, invisible expectations control you. Live in the present. Enjoy every moment, even the smallest ones. From these small moments, you will find the peace and happiness you are seeking. When everything happens too quickly, sometimes we feel like we're caught in an endless whirlpool. Work, family, relationships, and responsibilities keep piling up, leaving us no time to stop and feel life. We keep searching for peace outside, in conditions, successes, or goals to be achieved. But have you ever asked yourself if true peace comes from those external things? The Buddha taught that peace does not come from external factors, but from returning to ourselves. True peace only appears when we stop, return, and fully exist in this moment. Instead of racing towards goals, worrying about the future, or dwelling on the past, we need to learn to live in the present, so that our souls can be peaceful and light. In the moments when we rush through life, we often forget that peace is not found in how much money we have, how many achievements we've made, or how many people recognize us. We think that when we achieve this or that, when everything around us is perfect, we will find peace. But in reality, even when we achieve the things we want, we may still feel restless because our soul has never been still to seek tranquility. Peace is not a place we can reach, but a state we can live in every day. It is the stillness within, not being controlled by worries, negative emotions, or unrealistic expectations. When we return to ourselves, not chasing after goals or external conditions, we can then experience true peace. Think about a morning when you wake up and feel an unusual peace within. You don't need to worry about work or tasks ahead. You don't need to overthink about the past or past failures. You just need to take a deep breath and feel the fresh air. Feel the life present in each moment. This is the peace the Buddha taught. This peace does not come from changing the outside world, but from changing the way we perceive and live in the present. The Buddha taught that peace begins with letting go. Letting go of unnecessary worries, letting go of negative emotions, letting go of expectations we place on ourselves. When we no longer cling to these things, we will find our souls lighter, and at that moment, peace will naturally come. Letting go does not mean giving up, but liberation from things that no longer align with our peace. One of the easiest ways to find peace is by practicing mindfulness. When we live mindfully, fully in each moment, without worrying about the past or future, we will find ourselves becoming more tranquil. Pay attention to the simple things around you: a gentle breeze, the sound of birds singing, or the sunlight shining on your face. These things can help us reconnect with the present, and in that moment, peace will come. Our minds are like a calm lake. When there are many waves, it cannot reflect clearly. But when our soul is at peace, the lake becomes transparent and reflects everything around clearly. When we live peacefully, our souls will also become clear, easily seeing things with insight, not influenced by negative emotions. Life is not always easy, and sometimes we still have to face difficulties and challenges. However, when our soul is at peace, we will not feel afraid or stressed. Instead, we will face every difficulty calmly, viewing it as part of life. Each challenge is an opportunity for us to grow and find a deeper peace. Remember that peace is not a destination, but a journey. It is the journey of returning to yourself, learning to let go, and living fully in each moment. When you return to yourself, unaffected by external factors, you will find peace in your soul. And when your soul is at peace, the world around you will also become more peaceful. Peace comes from within, from returning to yourself and living in the complete presence of who you are. Live truthfully with yourself, and peace will naturally come, no matter how life changes. In the busy days of life, when we get caught up in work, responsibilities, and expectations, we sometimes forget the most important thing: taking care of ourselves. We often harshly judge ourselves, blaming ourselves every time something is not perfect, creating invisible pressure, and forgetting that gentleness and love for ourselves are the keys to finding true peace. The Buddha taught that, in every circumstance, we must treat ourselves with love, gentleness, and compassion. But do we really know how to love and accept ourselves? Or do we keep searching for perfection, trying to please others, and neglecting our own emotions and needs? Harshness towards ourselves often comes from unrealistic expectations. We always want to succeed, to do everything perfectly, to never fail. However, life does not always go according to our plans. Each of us has moments of stumbling, moments of mistakes, and that is perfectly normal. But instead of loving and learning from these mistakes, we often criticize ourselves and hurt ourselves. This not only causes pain to our soul, but also prevents us from living fully and happily. The Buddha taught that loving yourself is not selfish. It is a necessary act so that we can love and help others. If we do not know how to love ourselves, how can we share that love with the world around us? Taking care of ourselves is not a distant task, but a concrete action in the small things of daily life. One way to show gentleness towards yourself is by learning to let go of harshness. Try stopping for a minute during the day, asking yourself, am I treating myself gently? Am I allowing myself to rest and forgive my mistakes? If the answer is no, that is the moment you need to learn to listen to your body and soul, allowing yourself to relax and love yourself. The soul needs to be nurtured, just like a garden needs to be cared for and watered. When we let go of harshness and self-criticism, we will feel relief in our hearts. One day, you will realize that it is the gentleness towards yourself that helps you view life with more brightness and peace. You will no longer feel insecure about failures or imperfections. You will know how to love and accept the parts of yourself that are not yet perfect, because these parts make you who you are, and you deserve to be loved. One simple way to practice gentleness towards yourself is by taking time for yourself. In a busy world, we often forget moments of relaxation, moments just for ourselves. Try taking a few minutes each day to meditate, relax, listen to your favorite music, or simply stop and breathe deeply. When you do this, you are sending a message of love to yourself, you are caring for your soul and body, and you are learning to love yourself. Gentleness with yourself also means knowing how to forgive. We often live in a world full of competition and pressure, and sometimes, when we don't achieve what we want, we feel disappointed and blame ourselves. But the important thing is to learn how to forgive yourself. Forgiveness not only helps us become gentler, but also opens the opportunity for us to learn and grow from our mistakes. The Buddha taught that when we truly love and accept ourselves, we will find peace in our souls. We will no longer feel stressed or worried about what we haven't achieved. Instead, we will live fully and happily in the present moments, not influenced by perfection or unrealistic expectations. Remember that gentleness towards yourself is not something far away. It is an action every day, giving yourself permission to rest, to love, and to forgive. When you treat yourself with gentleness and compassion, you will see that life becomes more enjoyable, and you will have the strength to face every challenge without feeling burdened. Life does not require perfection, just love and self-acceptance. And when you learn to love yourself, the world will become much more beautiful and peaceful. In the hustle and bustle of life, there are times when we feel like we're racing against time, unable to stop. Worries, work pressure, complex relationships, these things sometimes make us feel lost and exhausted. We search for peace somewhere far away, but have you ever thought that true peace can come in each breath of your own? The Buddha taught that peace is not a place we need to search for out there. It is the complete presence in each moment, true life in each breath. Just one deep breath, one moment of stillness is enough to find peace in our soul. Imagine you are sitting in a quiet space with no noise from the outside world. You are just with yourself. In this moment, instead of chasing after chaotic thoughts, you simply relax your body, let go of all worries, and focus on your breath. A deep breath in, then gently exhale. Feel the air enter your body, soothing away all tension. With moments like this, you begin to find peace in your soul. Our minds are like a lake. When there are too many ripples, it cannot reflect the peace of the sky. Similarly, when our minds are filled with chaotic thoughts and worries, we cannot feel peace. But when we stop, when we focus on our breath and calm our mind, we will see everything around us become lighter, no longer burdened by worries or stress. A deep breath not only helps the body relax, but also helps the mind find stillness. We don't need to do anything grand. We don't need to seek complicated methods to reduce stress or achieve peace. Every time we feel tense, tired, we just need to stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and listen to our body, and we will feel the change. It feels like everything in the body gradually becomes lighter, and the mind is freed from burdens. The Buddha taught that peace comes from within, not from external conditions. When we learn to return to ourselves, when we let go of unnecessary expectations and worries, we will see that peace is always present in every moment. And each deep breath is an opportunity for us to return, to find stillness in our soul. There is a story in Buddhism where a disciple asked the Buddha, "How can I find peace in this life?" The Buddha answered, "Find peace in each breath. Every breath is a step towards stillness. Stop and feel each breath. You will find peace within yourself." The answer is simple but profound. The Buddha did not say that we must search for peace somewhere far away, but simply return to ourselves, live in the present, and feel each breath. One way to practice peace through breath is by practicing mindfulness. When we practice mindfulness, we live fully in each moment, not getting caught up in thoughts of the past or worrying about the future. Just focus on the breath. Feel each breath going in and out of the body, and we will experience stillness and peace. Practicing mindfulness through breath not only helps our souls relax, but also helps us connect more deeply with ourselves and the world around us. When our minds are at peace, we can see things more clearly, not influenced by emotions or negative thoughts. In a busy day, sometimes we don't have time for ourselves. But just a few minutes of stillness, a few deep breaths is enough to find peace. The important thing is not to let worries or stress take over the mind. Remember, every moment you live in the present, every time you return to your breath, you are creating space for peace, for healing in your soul. Life will never lack challenges and difficulties. But when we know how to return to ourselves, listen to our breath, and calm our mind, we will find peace even in the simplest moments. From there, we will no longer feel tired or worried about things we cannot control. Peace is, in fact, always within us, as long as we know how to stop and feel. So, whenever you feel tired, stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and let your soul relax. Just one moment of stillness is enough for you to find peace in this life. Sometimes we feel like we're running non-stop, always trying to prove our worth to others, to society, to the invisible expectations we set for ourselves. We work not just for passion, but for a deeper reason, recognition and approval from others. But in this pursuit, have we ever asked ourselves, am I truly happy? Am I truly free? The Buddha taught that freedom is not escaping all external constraints, but liberation within the soul. True freedom comes when we know how to let go of unnecessary things, especially expectations, pressure, and comparisons with others. When we know how to let go, we no longer feel the need to prove ourselves to anyone. Only then will we truly find freedom and love. We live in a society full of standards and prejudices, where success is often measured by material wealth, fame, or status. This unintentionally creates a great mental bondage for each person. We strive to achieve these goals, but sometimes when we reach the heights we desire, we don't feel satisfied or happy. Why is that? Is it because we've been living according to others' expectations, not following the call of our own heart? The Buddha taught that when we live truly with ourselves, without needing to prove our worth through external things, that is when we find freedom. Letting go does not mean giving up on dreams or ambitions. Letting go is liberation from the invisible bonds we place on ourselves. Learning to live according to what truly matters to us, rather than chasing after external things. Think about the moments in life when you feel truly happy, not because you achieved something, but because you feel peace in your soul. It could be a quiet morning, a walk in nature, or simply a time spent alone, not doing anything, not worrying about anything, but just living in the present. These moments are true freedom, and you will realize that freedom is not about what you can do, but about not being bound by meaningless expectations or worries. Once you learn to let go, you will feel that there's no need to prove anything. You don't need to race against time. You don't need to live to please others, and you don't need to make everything perfect. You just need to live true to yourself with what you feel is right, is important. And at that point, you will be free. Freedom and love are two things that cannot be separated. When you know how to let go of harshness towards yourself and unrealistic expectations, you will find yourself free in loving yourself. Loving yourself is not selfish. It is allowing yourself to rest, to forgive, to live without worrying about whether you are doing it right. Loving yourself is self-respect, taking care of your soul and body, accepting every aspect of yourself, including your flaws and mistakes. The Buddha taught that when we love and accept ourselves, we don't need to seek recognition from outside, because we have peace in our own hearts. When you love yourself, you will no longer feel the need to prove yourself to anyone, and from there, you will find freedom. That is freedom not from avoiding responsibility, but from living true to yourself, from no longer worrying about what others think of you. Try stopping for a moment and asking yourself, do I really love myself? Am I living according to my own expectations or someone else's? When you let go of the bonds, comparisons, and unnecessary pressures, you will feel lighter, freer, and love yourself more. Freedom and self-love are a long journey, but it is a journey that each of us can walk. Let yourself be free, so you are no longer controlled by worries or external expectations. Live in unconditional love for yourself, so that you can enter life with an open heart, free and happy. In each person's journey of life, we all face challenges, difficulties, and pain. In those times, we may feel like we are losing peace, as if everything around us is crashing down. But in reality, peace is not the absence of difficulties, but the ability to face those difficulties calmly and steadfastly. A peaceful mind is not a place without storms, but the ability to keep our boat steady in the middle of a great storm. The Buddha taught that life is impermanent and suffering is an unavoidable part of our existence. But the important thing is not to avoid suffering, but how we face it. When our souls are at peace, we can view every difficulty with a gentle attitude, not being swept away by negative emotions. A peaceful mind does not mean there are no challenges or suffering, but the ability to accept them and live fully with whatever is happening. The peace of the soul comes from learning to master our emotions and thoughts. When facing difficulties, we tend to react hastily and with tension. But if we learn to observe and listen to our minds, we will realize that negative emotions like anger, anxiety, or fear are just natural reactions, but they are not things we need to cling to. Peace comes when we can view those emotions gently, without judgment, and allow them to come and go without being influenced. Peace also comes from learning to let go. We often carry unrealistic expectations, unfulfilled desires, and when we don't achieve them, we feel disappointed. However, when we learn to let go of what we cannot control, we will find serenity. The Buddha taught that when we let go of unrealistic desires, we will free our minds from invisible burdens. Letting go does not mean abandoning everything, but learning to accept the present as it is, not being influenced by the past or worrying about the future. One of the ways to cultivate peace of mind is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is living in the present, not being caught up in unnecessary thoughts and emotions. When we live mindfully, we are no longer swept away by worries or regrets about the past. Every action, every word, every thought becomes light and aware. When we truly focus on each moment, we will realize that everything, big or small, can bring peace if we approach it with sincerity. When our minds are at peace, everything around us becomes lighter. Even if we face challenges, even if there is suffering, we can still stand firm and overcome all difficulties. Peace of mind is not a state of stillness without storms, but the ability to remain calm despite the waves. It is this calmness that helps us not be swept away by negative emotions, yet maintain clarity and awareness to act appropriately. The peace of the soul is also the result of nurturing compassion and forgiveness. When we learn to forgive ourselves and others, we will no longer feel anger or hatred damaging our souls. Forgiveness is how we free ourselves from the pain of the past and open our hearts to embrace the present with gentleness. Compassion helps us view everyone around us with empathy, and when we treat ourselves and others with compassion, our souls will always remain at peace. The Buddha taught that when our mind is at peace, we will no longer worry about things beyond our control, but simply live in the complete presence of each moment. When we no longer let external factors control our souls, we will experience true freedom and peace. It is not because we have achieved something great, but because we have learned to let go of invisible burdens, to live in the present, and to love ourselves fully. Therefore, peace is not a destination, but a journey. This journey is not without challenges, but it is the way we face and live with those challenges. The peace of the soul comes from the ability to accept and live with difficulties, from letting go of unrealistic expectations, and from living mindfully in each moment. When we practice these things, our souls will become lighter, calmer, and at peace. In the fast-paced rhythm of modern life, we often forget one important thing: to stop and listen to ourselves. Life is like an unstoppable flow. With work, responsibilities, and pressures piling up every day, we keep chasing after external goals, achievements, but forget that mental health and peace can only come when we know how to listen to and understand our own emotions and thoughts. The Buddha taught that if we cannot stop to listen to the inner voice, we will never truly understand ourselves, nor will we be able to identify the deep sources of tiredness and suffering. When our minds are caught up in worries, we will struggle to realize that tiredness does not just come from work or tasks we are doing, but also from unprocessed emotions, unaddressed thoughts. Listening to oneself is a journey back to ourselves. When we stop, when we no longer chase after the demands of society or the expectations of others, we give ourselves the opportunity to observe ourselves. Think about a day when you wake up feeling heavy, perhaps due to an event from the past, an unresolved relationship, or worries about the future. Instead of diving back into work and chasing the rhythm of life, why not take a few minutes to listen to your soul? Feel those emotions without judgment, simply acknowledging that they are present within you. Only when we truly listen can we identify the source of tiredness. Tiredness is not just from lack of sleep or work overload, but sometimes from repressed emotions, unresolved worries, and thoughts not yet let go. When we understand our emotions, we can find ways to heal from within. Emotions, whether happy or sad, are a part of life, and we cannot avoid or deny them. The Buddha taught that recognizing and accepting emotions is an important part of freeing the soul. Listening to oneself does not mean just sitting still and contemplating. Sometimes, listening to oneself can be a simple act like breathing deeply, walking in nature, or simply taking a few minutes to do nothing, letting both the mind and body relax. These moments of stillness allow us to reconnect with ourselves and help us realize that we don't need to chase perfection or external standards. The soul needs to be cared for like a garden, and listening is how we care for our soul. In the busy life, we sometimes forget that to heal and find peace, we don't need to do something grand. Everything starts from simple moments, from stopping and listening to ourselves. A deep breath, a moment of stillness is enough to relax our souls, and from there, we will see everything around us more clearly. When the mind is at peace, we will realize that tiredness is not something huge, but a sign that we need to stop, listen, and take care of ourselves. Listening to oneself not only helps us identify tiredness, but also helps us understand the deeper needs of the soul. You may be dissatisfied with your work, unfulfilled in relationships, or simply feel like something is missing in life. When you stop to listen, you will realize that sometimes the simple things we overlook are the key factors that make us feel more complete. Listening to oneself is also a way to learn how to love oneself. When you understand yourself better, you will know how to take care of yourself fully, not just physically, but also mentally. You will know how to let go of negative emotions, unhealthy thoughts, and instead nurture positive feelings, love, and take care of yourself gently. The Buddha taught that knowing oneself is wisdom, understanding oneself is freedom. Only when we listen to ourselves can we truly understand who we are, what we need, and what we want. This is the first step in finding peace in this life. So, whenever you feel tired, anxious, or lost, stop, breathe deeply, and listen to yourself. Just a few minutes of stillness to feel what is happening in your soul, and you've already started the healing journey and finding peace from within. We often face countless worries, stress, and problems piling up on us. Work, family, relationships all push us into an endless cycle. Yet, in the rush, we easily lose our inner peace, and our minds become chaotic, unable to find stillness. At this time, meditation and mindful action are the keys for us to return to ourselves and find peace even in ordinary moments. The Buddha taught that the mind is the master. All phenomena follow it. This means that our minds are the master of all actions and perceptions. When the mind is not still, everything around will become chaotic and uncontrollable. Therefore, practicing meditation and mindfulness is the way to calm the mind, allowing us to live in the present and receive everything with calmness. Meditation is not something foreign or complicated. It is simply stopping, becoming still, and observing oneself. When you sit down, close your eyes, and focus on your breath, you are creating a quiet space for your soul. Meditation helps you clear away chaotic thoughts, let go of unnecessary worries, and from there, helps you find peace from within. The mind becomes clearer, all worries and troubles gradually fade away, and you can face life more gently. Mindful action, though simple, is an essential part of daily life. Mindfulness is living fully in each moment, not getting caught up in thoughts of the past or worries about the future, but focusing only on what is happening right in front of you. When you practice mindfulness in every activity, whether eating, walking, or working, you will feel more connected to yourself and the world around you. For example, when you eat a meal, instead of rushing through it, try focusing on each bite, savoring the taste, feeling the satisfaction as you swallow each mouthful. This is a mindful action. Each movement, each sensation, when you live in the present, becomes clearer and fuller. Mindfulness not only helps you maintain stillness in your mind, but also helps you live fully with the simple yet precious things in life. When practicing meditation and mindfulness, our minds will gradually become steadier, not shaken by life's changes. Even in difficulties or challenges, you can maintain calmness and clarity. This is like a boat in a large river. If the boat is not steady, it will be swept away by the current. But if the boat is steady, no matter how strong the water is, it can still overcome it. The mind is the same. When we practice meditation and mindfulness, we build a solid foundation, not pushed by the storms of life. Not only does meditation and mindfulness help us find peace within, but they also help us understand ourselves more clearly. When we listen to ourselves, we will recognize the emotions and thoughts we have never noticed. Worries, fears, or anger are not things we need to cling to, but signs showing that we need to stop and observe ourselves. Meditation and mindfulness help us identify and master these emotions instead of letting them control our actions and thoughts. One wonderful thing about practicing meditation and mindfulness is that you do not need to search for peace anywhere far away. True peace only comes when we live fully in the present, when we know how to stop and listen, when we no longer get caught up in endless thoughts about the past or future. It is this presence in each moment that helps us find peace within. Therefore, in each day of life, try to make time to practice meditation and mindfulness. You don't need to spend an hour meditating, just a few minutes each day to stop, breathe deeply, and live fully in each moment. Allow yourself to truly live in the present, not rushed, not anxious, and you will find peace right within yourself. As long as you know how to return to yourself, how to breathe, how to slow down, and enjoy what's around you, you will find your mind becoming more still and peaceful. Meditation and mindfulness are the paths that lead us to true peace, the key that opens the door to inner peace that we've always been seeking. In the busy and fast-paced life, we often search for peace in distant places, thinking that only when we obtain them can we find tranquility in our souls. You might be thinking of quiet moments in a peaceful space, or deep moments of meditation. However, peace does not only come from those moments of stillness, but also from the small, simple actions we do every day. From cooking a meal, washing dishes, to walking in the park, all are opportunities for us to truly be present in life and nourish our soul. The Buddha taught that peace is not the absence of difficulties or busyness, but the ability to face those difficulties calmly, to be fully present in each moment. When we are truly present, when we truly focus on the actions we are doing, we will realize that every moment can bring peace, as long as we know how to live fully with it. Think about a morning when you start cooking a meal for your family. Instead of rushing and worrying about time, try stopping for a moment and feel each movement. Smell the spices, listen to the sizzling oil, feel the heartbeat as you carefully prepare the food. When you cook with focus and love, the meal is not just food for the body, but also food for the soul. You are creating presence in every action, and it is this presence that helps your soul find peace. A small action like washing dishes can also become an opportunity to nourish the soul. Instead of seeing this as a boring chore, try looking at it as a moment to relax and focus. When your hands touch the water, feel the warmth. Feel each dish becoming cleaner with every wash. Focus on every step, every movement you make, and you will feel a gentleness, a relaxation spreading in your body and mind. This is how simple actions help us nourish peace, because they are moments that help us return to ourselves, help us live in the present. The Buddha taught that acting with a mindful mind is a way for us to connect with the world around us and with ourselves. When we truly focus on each action, we are not just working with our body, but also with our mind, helping us free ourselves from worries and wandering thoughts. Walking in the park or strolling around the neighborhood, if we do it with gratitude and mindfulness, will become precious moments for our soul to find peace. Each gentle step, each deep breath is a way to nurture presence and regain stillness in the soul. When we do not race against time, when we do not let thoughts of the past or future take over our minds, we will realize that peace is not something distant, but exists in every present moment. The small actions that seem insignificant are actually opportunities for us to truly live fully. The Buddha taught that focus in every action helps us not get swept away by meaningless thoughts, and instead, we will live truly in the present, living in the peace of ourselves. Practicing presence in every action not only helps us find peace, but also helps us nurture love and compassion. When we do everything with focus and love, we not only take care of ourselves, but also spread love to those around us. A meal prepared with full dedication, a home kept clean and orderly, are actions that show love and care for those we love. Peace is not a destination, but a journey. It is the journey where we live in each moment, in each small action, in each breath. The Buddha taught that if we can live with gratitude and mindfulness in each action, we will find peace in everyday life. When our mind is still, when we are no longer swept away by the stream of worries and endless thoughts, we will feel true peace and happiness. Therefore, instead of chasing distant goals, learn to stop and live fully in the simple moments. From cooking, washing dishes, to each step in the park, all can become moments that nourish the soul. Let each small action be an opportunity for us to return to ourselves, to find peace in life. In the busy life, we sometimes forget an important thing. Tiredness is not a sign of weakness or failure, but a signal from the body and mind, reminding us of the need to stop and take care of ourselves. However, instead of listening to and accepting tiredness, we often try to ignore it, continuing to work, continuing to chase the demands and expectations until we feel completely exhausted. But in fact, tiredness is the opportunity for us to begin the process of healing the mind. The Buddha taught that accepting our emotions, whether happy or sad, is an important part of the self-healing process. When we acknowledge tiredness, instead of rejecting or avoiding it, that is when we truly begin to listen and understand ourselves. Acceptance does not mean giving up or enduring, but fully realizing what is happening in our soul and body. It is a gentle action, like patting ourselves, like a warm hug to say, "It's okay, you're not alone." Tiredness is a natural feeling, not something bad. Our body and mind have limits, and when those limits are pushed too far, tiredness is the way the body reminds us that it's time to rest. But if we keep ignoring it and don't stop to listen to our bodies, these signals will become stronger, and the result could be exhaustion, not only physically, but also mentally. The Buddha taught that awareness and acceptance are the first steps toward healing, When we recognize and accept tiredness, we not only know we need rest, but also understand that it is an opportunity for healing. Only when we stop and acknowledge our tiredness can we allow ourselves to relax, rest, and recover. Not denying the feeling of tiredness is part of self-love and self-care. It's a way of not harming ourselves further by continuing to push through all difficulties without giving ourselves time to recover. One of the simplest and most effective ways to begin healing is to sit down for a moment and listen to your body, listen to your emotions. Tiredness is not only physical, but also emotional. Sometimes our minds are tired from constantly processing worries, unresolved issues. Don't hesitate to allow yourself to stop and admit, I am tired, I need to rest. Right now, you're not only doing something good for your body, but also doing what's necessary for your soul. Accepting tiredness is also a way to learn how to let go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, but accepting what cannot be changed and not worrying too much about the future or the past. Letting go is stopping and viewing what has passed with forgiveness, giving yourself space to rest and recover. Letting go helps us no longer feel burdened by the pressures we carry, and from there, we can free our minds and move forward with peace. When you admit tiredness and allow yourself to rest, you create space for recovery. You're not only caring for your body, but also caring for your soul. Tiredness is not a sign of failure, but an opportunity to reconnect with yourself, to recognize what you've been overlooking, to learn how to love yourself. In each moment of rest, when you allow yourself to breathe, when you allow yourself to stop, you are nurturing peace. So when you move forward, you will feel lighter and freer. The Buddha taught that peace comes from accepting and understanding oneself. When we acknowledge tiredness, we not only recognize our current state, but also learn how to care for and restore our soul. Only when we stop and listen can we recognize what needs to change and heal. From that point, tiredness is no longer a burden, but a part of the self-care journey, helping us become stronger and more at peace. Life is not always easy, but when we know how to acknowledge and accept tiredness, we will not feel defeated. We will find strength in allowing ourselves to rest, in loving and taking care of ourselves. And that is the first step in the healing process, not just from the outside, but from our very soul. In the challenging life, we sometimes forget that compassion is not only for others, but also for ourselves. Often, we easily treat others with gentleness and tolerance, but are very harsh on ourselves. Every time we make a mistake, feel tired, or fail to meet expectations, we tend to criticize ourselves, creating more pressure and suffering for ourselves. But in fact, self-compassion is just as important as compassion for others. And this is an essential part of the journey to find inner peace. The Buddha taught that compassion is the foundation of all actions and relationships in life. When we are truly compassionate towards ourselves, we will learn to forgive, accept, and love ourselves fully. Compassion is not indulging or being overly lenient, but understanding and accepting our flaws, failures, and negative emotions. This helps us view everything in life with a gentler perspective, and from there, we find peace in our soul. Just as we cannot love others without loving ourselves, we cannot help others if we are not healed and nourished ourselves. Practicing compassion towards ourselves means allowing ourselves to rest, to relax, and not to be too harsh on our weaknesses or imperfections. When we make mistakes or face difficulties, instead of criticizing ourselves, remember that it's just part of the life journey. We are not perfect machines, and accepting our imperfections is a way to open our hearts and nurture compassion. Think about a time when you felt exhausted, when work and responsibilities piled up, and you felt you couldn't go on. Instead of pushing through, stop and ask yourself, do I really need to continue like this? Allow yourself to stop, rest, and care for yourself. Recognize that you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to do everything, and there's nothing wrong with stopping to breathe and regain your strength. The Buddha taught that every person has moments of weakness, and this does not mean we are failing. Negative emotions, worries, and moments of feeling not good enough are a natural part of life. When we face these emotions with compassion, non-judgment, and gently forgive ourselves, we will find our souls liberated and lighter. Compassion is not something distant, but a way of living every day, starting with small actions like allowing ourselves to rest, not self-criticizing when we make mistakes, and treating ourselves with love and understanding. When we begin practicing self-compassion, we will notice that life doesn't always need to be perfect. We don't have to prove ourselves to anyone. We don't need to please everyone or meet all expectations. Only when we love and take care of ourselves can we truly love others fully and sincerely. Love begins with ourselves, with understanding and accepting ourselves, with not letting negative emotions harm us. Self-compassion also means not letting worry and fear take over our minds. We cannot change the past, and the future hasn't come yet. The only thing we have is the present, and that is where peace begins. Allow yourself to live fully in each moment, not worrying about what hasn't happened or regretting what has passed. Only when we live in the present, when our minds are freed from worry, can we truly feel peace. So, whenever you feel tired, disappointed, or like you haven't met expectations, stop for a moment, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, do I really need to be harsh with myself? Remember, you deserve love and care, and self-compassion is the path to finding peace in your heart. We are all imperfect beings, but accepting and loving ourselves in moments of weakness and difficulty is what helps us grow and be happier. Love and treat yourself with compassion, and you will find your soul healing, becoming calm, and finding peace in life. We are often caught in the whirlwind of complexity, from work, family, to social expectations. Sometimes we feel like we cannot keep up with the fast pace, and peace seems distant. We search for peace in far-off places, in great achievements, in material gifts. But in reality, true peace does not come from these external things, but from how we live in each moment, from the simplicity within the soul. The Buddha taught that peace is not the absence of difficulties or challenges, but the ability to face them calmly and gently. In moments of haste, we forget that life does not need to be complicated to feel happy. Sometimes, the simple things are the key to opening the door to peace within the soul. Try imagining a peaceful day when you take time to sit down, have a cup of hot tea, and look outside the window. Everything around is quiet. You don't need to do anything grand. You don't need to solve all the problems in life immediately. You just need to live fully in that moment, letting your soul relax and recharge. The feeling when you sit in silence, drink tea, and watch the trees, the sky, and the birds flying around is a feeling of peace. Incredibly simple, but profound. Simplicity in daily actions is the way we nurture peace in the soul. You don't need to race against time. You don't need to push yourself to achieve goals beyond reach. When you truly live fully in each moment, you will realize that peace is not something distant, but the presence in each moment. The Buddha taught that when we focus on the present, when we are not swept away by thoughts of the past or future, we will feel serenity in our soul. Life is easily invaded by worries, negative emotions, and unrealistic goals. But in peaceful moments, like when you sit in a quiet space, enjoy tea, or simply walk in the park, you will realize that you don't need too many things to feel peace. In fact, it is simplicity that allows our souls to be freed from burdens. The human soul, like a mirror, can only reflect clearly when it is not covered by the dust of worry and complexity. When the soul becomes calm and simple, it will automatically find peace in the smallest things. Simple things like a loving look, a smile, or a friendly greeting can bring us a sense of peace. The Buddha taught that happiness is not something distant, but is the harmony with ourselves and the world around us. Simplicity in the soul helps us let go of unnecessary worries. When we are no longer caught up in the whirlwind of fame or material things, when we live simply and fully in each moment, we will feel lighter, calmer. We don't need to have everything to feel happy. Sometimes just one moment of stillness, one deep breath is enough for us to find peace in our soul. Therefore, instead of always racing, instead of always searching for big things, try to take some time each day to enjoy simple moments. You can sit in a quiet corner, drink a cup of tea, and watch the world around you, or simply take a walk under the sunset to feel everything happening around you. These moments are how you nourish peace, helping your soul become lighter and fuller. True peace comes from within, not from what we have or achieve, but from how we live with ourselves, from the simplicity in the soul. When you allow yourself to live fully in the present moments, when you find peace in the small things, you will see that life is beautiful and peaceful. Let simplicity become the source of peace in your soul. There are times when we feel tired, but can't pinpoint the exact reason. Everything around us might be fine, work, family, friends, but our minds are still full of endless thoughts and worries. These worries seem to occupy the space in our head, making us feel tired not only physically, but also mentally. However, sometimes it is these invisible worries that are the deep cause of our fatigue. And if we don't understand them, they will continue to dominate our lives. The Buddha taught that the human mind is like a pond. When the mind is not at peace, worries and chaotic thoughts are like the wind blowing, creating ripples that prevent the pond from reflecting accurately. When the mind is not at peace, those worries keep swirling, making it impossible to find clarity to face life. But when we listen to ourselves, exploring the root of these worries, we will find the path to liberate our soul. Worry often stems from many different factors, such as worries about the future, feelings of insecurity about ourselves, or even an excessive desire for everything to be perfect. We may fear things that haven't happened, worry about whether we are good enough or strong enough to overcome challenges. We worry about relationships, work, about what others think of us, and sometimes these worries accumulate unconsciously within us. It is the inability to face these worries that makes us feel tired. We keep chasing those thoughts without daring to acknowledge them fully. The Buddha taught that when we don't dare to face our fears, worries continue to dominate our minds, preventing us from finding peace. Analyzing the root of those worries is the first step to liberating the mind. At this point, we can stop and ask ourselves, where do these feelings of worry come from? Asking ourselves and seeking answers to the worries within will help us understand ourselves better. Perhaps that worry stems from an unresolved memory, an inner feeling of insecurity, or a high expectation we set for ourselves. When we identify its source, we will be able to gently face it and no longer let it dominate our lives. The Buddha taught that liberation begins with understanding. When we understand our worries, we will no longer let them occupy our minds and energy. Sometimes, worries are just baseless thoughts, imaginations about things that haven't happened. When we look at them from a different angle, we will realize that things are not always as we imagine. Understanding and analysis will help us free ourselves from those invisible worries. Facing worry doesn't mean we have to solve everything immediately. In fact, some worries cannot be resolved in a moment. But the important thing is, once we understand the root of those worries, we will no longer feel controlled by them. Instead, we will have the calmness to face them gently and slowly find solutions. One way to help us face and solve worries is to practice mindfulness. When we live in the present, not being caught up in thoughts of the past or future, we will realize that worries are just temporary feelings, not permanent truths. Spend a few minutes each day sitting quietly, breathing deeply, and listening to your body. This helps us return to ourselves, calms our minds, and helps us see issues more clearly. The Buddha taught that when the mind is calm, we will find peace within ourselves. Worries no longer dominate the soul, and we will be the ones in control of our emotions. Only when we learn to face worries can we heal and free our minds from invisible burdens. Therefore, instead of letting worries control us, stop and acknowledge them. Allow yourself to feel and understand the source of the worries within. When we understand the reason for those worries, they will no longer be strong waves sweeping our souls. Instead, they will become lessons that help us grow and find peace in life. We easily forget the necessary moments to take care of ourselves, especially when both our mind and body are tense. We spend the whole day chasing work, worrying about the future, and facing the challenges life brings. But have we ever taken a moment to relax our body and mind? In fact, relaxation not only helps us release physical tension, but also helps our soul find peace and serenity. The Buddha taught that peace does not come from the outside, but from within. When our body is tired, tense, or accepting anxiety, the mind cannot find stillness. Therefore, relaxing the body and mind is not only an action to reduce stress, but also a process for us to return to ourselves, to listen to what our soul truly needs. One of the easiest ways to relax the body is to practice exercises like yoga or meditation. When we practice yoga, the body is stretched and each muscle is loosened, helping to reduce accumulated stress. Simple things like deep breathing, slowly relaxing each muscle, allow you to feel the lightness in every part of your body. Yoga helps us reconnect with our body, making it more flexible and relaxed. These gentle movements not only enhance health, but also create space for the mind to relax. However, relaxing the body cannot be separated from relaxing the mind. Our mind, like our body, sometimes becomes tight from thoughts, worries, and busyness. We think too much about the past and the future, forgetting that peace can only come when we live fully in the present. When the mind is not relaxed, it gets swept away, and we cannot experience the serenity we are seeking. The Buddha taught that, to achieve a calm mind, we need to learn to let go. Letting go is not giving up, but recognizing and accepting that there are things that cannot be changed, things that are not ours. When we relax the mind, we no longer have to try to control everything. We no longer need to hold on to worries or negative emotions. Instead, we allow the mind to be free, letting thoughts come and go without clinging to them. One of the easiest ways to relax the mind is through meditation. When we meditate, we focus on our breath, on the sensations in our body, and observe our thoughts without judgment. At this moment, we don't need to do anything special. Just stay with ourselves, in silence, and gradually allow the mind to relax. The initial feeling may be distraction, but with consistent practice, we will begin to feel peace emerge, gradually radiating from within. Relaxing the mind can also be done through daily activities. When you do something, focus on that action without thinking about anything else. For example, when you wash dishes, feel the water flowing through your hands, listen to the sound of dishes clinking together, and simply live in that moment. Only when you are fully present in these simple tasks can you feel the serenity in your soul. When you relax your body and mind, you will experience lightness, relaxation, and deep peace. The body is no longer burdened by tension, and the mind is no longer swept into endless thoughts. Peace does not come from external things, but from how we know how to listen to and care for ourselves. When you relax your body and mind, you are creating space for peace and happiness to come naturally. Life sometimes makes us feel like we are racing against time, but relaxation of the body and mind will help us stop at the right moment, become clear, and find peace in every moment. Allow yourself to rest, listen to yourself, and relax your soul so that you can continue your journey gently and with full energy. In every breath, in every step, in every simple moment of life, peace is always present. All we need to do is learn how to relax so the body and mind can find deep peace. There is a truth we cannot avoid. Everything changes. Everything is impermanent. What we have today may not be there tomorrow. A meeting today may be a goodbye tomorrow. Emotions, moments of happiness or sadness are all just temporary transitions. Understanding and accepting impermanence is not easy, but it is one of the key elements in Buddhism, helping us live more lightly and peacefully amidst this ever-changing life. The Buddha taught that impermanence is the nature of life. Everything has a birth, existence, and then will disappear. This applies not only to external material things, but also to the emotions and thoughts in our soul. When we understand that change is inevitable, we will no longer be surprised or disappointed when facing the changes in life. Instead of fearing or clinging to things we cannot hold on to, we will learn to let go and accept everything as it is. Accepting impermanence does not mean that we must give up everything or live passively and irresponsibly. In fact, when we realize impermanence, we will learn to appreciate the present moments more. Every passing second is precious because we do not know when we will lose it. When we live in the awareness of impermanence, we will no longer worry about what cannot be changed, and instead, we will know how to live fully in the present. One of the wonderful things about accepting impermanence is that we will learn how to let go. Letting go does not mean giving up. It is liberation for the soul. When we let go of things that no longer serve our peace, we will feel lighter. The Buddha taught that clinging to things we cannot keep only causes us more suffering. When we no longer cling to successes, relationships, or future expectations, we will no longer feel disappointed or anxious about things we cannot control. Accepting impermanence also helps us look at our emotions more clearly. When facing sadness or loss, we can easily get caught up in feelings of suffering and discomfort. But if we understand that all these emotions are just temporary waves, they will come and go, and we will no longer be controlled by them. We can feel the sadness, but we do not have to live with it forever. When we accept that everything changes, we will learn how to live with our emotions without letting them become a burden in our hearts. Impermanence not only helps us learn how to let go, but also helps us live more fully. When we know that time is limited, we will no longer waste it on worries, regrets, or anger. Instead, we will appreciate the present moments, the people around us, and ourselves. Each day is an opportunity for us to learn, grow, and live a meaningful life. In reality, when we accept impermanence, we will see that everything becomes fresher, and we will be able to live freely and peacefully. One of the profound lessons from impermanence is learning to love without attachment. We cannot control time or the changes of life, but we can choose to love and cherish what we have. That love is not possession or fear of losing, but love in every moment, in every breath. When we love without attachment, we will no longer fear loss, because we have lived fully in that love. Accepting impermanence is also a way for us to free ourselves from fears. When we no longer fear loss, no longer fear things we cannot control, we will feel freer and more peaceful. We will live each day with gratitude, with the awareness that everything is valuable when we live fully in it. So instead of worrying about changes, instead of clinging to things we cannot keep, learn to accept impermanence. Let change become a companion on your journey, helping you live more lightly, love more, and live fully in every moment. Peace will come when we understand that, though everything changes, we can find eternity in our hearts, where love and compassion always dwell. In the rush of modern life, we often forget that peaceful moments do not necessarily come from great achievements or distant places. Sometimes, peace simply comes from returning to nature, where our soul can find stillness, where natural life helps us restore our mental health and return to our true self. The Buddha taught that the stillness in the soul only comes when we know how to return to ourselves, listen to, and feel the simple things, with nature playing an indispensable role. Nature, with the stillness of trees, sky, wind, and flowing water, is a gentle teacher, helping us find peace within ourselves. When we take time to be outside, immerse ourselves in nature, our minds will be freed from worries and stressful thoughts. A walk in the park, a morning stroll in the dawn light, or a trip to the countryside will help us feel connected to the world around us, to the earth, and to ourselves. The stillness of nature not only calms our soul, but also helps us regain balance after busy days. Imagine a morning when you step outside, breathe in the fresh air, and feel the warm sunlight caressing your body. The sounds of nature, birds singing, the wind rustling through the leaves, act as a gentle, soothing melody that calms any tension in your soul. You feel each step, each breath, and the worries seem to dissolve into the air. This is true connection, when your soul returns to nature, to the most natural and pure things. Nature has the miraculous ability to help us restore our mental health. Studies have shown that contact with nature, like walking in the park, breathing fresh air, or simply admiring the surroundings, helps reduce stress, improve mood, and reduce symptoms of anxiety and stress. When we sense the beauty of nature, our minds naturally become lighter and calmer. The Buddha taught that nature is a part of the universe, and when we immerse ourselves in it, we not only find peace, but also a connection with everything around us. A trip to the countryside, where the space is vast and quiet, is also a wonderful way to find peace in the soul. There are no car horns, no city noise, and you can feel the gentle breeze passing by, see the lush green rice fields, or simply admire the distant hills. Nature there helps you remember simple values, things we often forget in our busy lives. You can sit by a stream, listen to the water flowing, and feel the tranquility seep into your soul. Nature not only helps restore mental health, but also helps us reassess the values in life. In peaceful moments with nature, we realize that life does not need to be complicated to feel happiness. Happiness can come from simple things, from watching the sunset, feeling the breath of the earth and sky, or simply sitting under a tree and feeling the stillness around. The connection with nature helps us live more fully, helps us realize the value of the present, and soothes our worries and stresses. The Buddha taught that when we return to our true self, we will find peace in our hearts. Nature is part of that true self, a place where we can regain balance and peace. To do this, we need to learn how to stop and listen to what nature is saying to us. Nature does not need words. It only requires us to open our hearts and feel. And in each of these moments, we will realize that peace is always present, right within ourselves. So do not forget to take time for yourself, for nature, and for connection with the world around you. A walk in the park, a trip to the countryside, or simply sitting still and admiring the simple things in life will help your soul find peace. Nature will always be the companion that helps us live fully and find tranquility in life. Life can sometimes make us feel tired, not only because of the work, tasks, or responsibilities piling up, but sometimes because our soul is too heavy, unable to let go. Worries, fears, unresolved emotions cling to us, preventing us from finding peace, even though everything around us continues to move forward. The Buddha taught that it is not the many tasks that tire us, but because the mind does not know how to let go, does not know how to allow itself to rest and relax. Letting go is not about giving up, but about freeing ourselves. When we no longer cling to worries, unrealistic expectations, when we do not let negative emotions dominate our minds, we will find lightness in our souls. Fatigue will no longer be unavoidable, but a signal for us to recognize and return to ourselves. Healing is not a distant journey, but comes from simple moments. Sometimes, all it takes is a deep breath, a quiet moment to listen to yourself, and you can find peace again. Do not forget that every step in life can be an opportunity for you to nourish your soul, to learn to let go, and to live fully in the present. Allow yourself to stop. Allow yourself to breathe. Allow yourself to rest when needed. Peace is not something distant. It is the presence in the simplest things. You deserve that peace. And remember, Peace only comes when you allow yourself to live gently, without worries, not clinging to things beyond your control. I wish you always find peace in the simple moments of life. And when tired, do not hesitate to return to yourself. Relax, breathe deeply, and love yourself. You will realize that peace is always within your heart.